Yes, welcome to the Biz Communications Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton. Every week, bringing you a top professional business leader who can help us by sharing their communication tips and strategies. This week, it's a real privilege and pleasure to welcome to the Biz Communications Show John Ray, owner of Ray Business Advisors, based in Alpharetta, Georgia, in the Atlanta area. I was looking a short time ago on his LinkedIn page, and among the ways he identifies himself and his services, he says, best pricing strategies for higher profits. And then he adds, because changing pricing is the most important factor in profitability, I work with businesses to enhance their pricing strategies and make more money. Hey, that sounds pretty good to all of us, doesn't it? So let's welcome now John Ray to the Biz Communication Show. Hi there, John.
Bill, how are you today?
Well, your being with me to talk about this important topic makes my day to begin with. Thank you.
Well, thank you. No, my day's made by getting this invitation, so thank you.
John, you and I have talked about this topic some. I've read your articles on it. I've attended a presentation that you made to a Chamber of Commerce about our pricing strategies. And that's why I'm so delighted to bring you onto the Biz Communications Show. You and I know that all of us, especially entrepreneurs, will have a good, interesting initial conversation with somebody, and they'll say, well, John or Bill, your services sound really good, but I just, sorry, I can't afford you. Now, as an expert on this topic, I would like for you to talk about when somebody says, I can't afford you, what are some of the harmful answers we could give? And then on the positive side, what are some of the positive answers that we could give to that question, John?
Well, yeah, Bill, that's one of those questions that we all dread because we've all received it and we've all been subjected to it, I suppose. The problem with that question is in the lead up. Okay, so there's a lead up to that question that has gone astray from our point of view as providers of professional services or whatever it is we do. So first of all, we probably haven't given that client a real good picture of the value that we provide. In other words, we haven't had a value conversation that's adequate enough for the client to see the value of what we provide. It could be that we've answered that other question that so we always get is, oh, how much does that cost? And we really haven't had a conversation around, the different aspects of how we work with clients. I mean, let me give you an example, maybe for you, if I can, use you as an example. You've got a lot of different ways you work with clients. I mean, you may work with them remotely, in person. There's a lot of different aspects to your practice. So it's a little unfair. It's reasonable for someone to ask, but it's a little unfair at the same time for someone to pigeonhole you and to say, hey, what do your services cost without having a conversation about it? So in a nice way, we have to be able to say to clients, I can't answer that question without having a conversation that involves finding out what your needs are so I can match my services with your needs.
It's very much comparable, I would think, John, to somebody saying, I want to buy a car. And how much does a car cost? Well, it depends. Which car do you want? Do you want a Chevrolet? Do you want a Cadillac? Do you want a BMW? Do you want a Porsche? And so giving an answer to that question, how much does a car cost? you don't know what level the person might be seeking. So in a sense, that's what we have to find out, isn't it? Is what level of services? For example, do you want a 1 day service? Do you want an extended contract? What are the things you want to accomplish? These are some of the appropriate questions you and I should be asking, right?
Exactly. And, let me give you another example. I've got a friend of mine, and she and her husband do work with companies around their branding. So they develop logos, branding campaigns. They have a full service branding practice, consulting practice. And one of the things she was sharing with me is that she gets all the time is, so how much does a logo cost? Well, what the big elephant in the room there is Fiverr. Fiverr's the online service where you can go online and pay $5 for a logo. My suggestion to her was to say, in response to that question is, look, a logo is, for me, our firm, we charge $5 for that logo, but that doesn't include the value of our experience, the years that we have developed our practice, and all the different client experiences that we can share with you. The fact that you'll be able to call me back, or I'll be able to call you back, and we'll be able to talk live at any time you want to. By the way, the internet doesn't call you back. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed, Mr. Client, but the internet doesn't call you back. We've got testimonials that we can give you that are local, that you'll find compelling. So, but to find out what the final price is, we have to have a conversation. We have to have a conversation about what your needs are so that we can customize what we're doing to what you need.
There was something Zig Ziglar said in regard to price and cost, and I can't remember if I've got the order right. I think I might, where he said, someone said to them, your service costs too much. And he said, yes, but can you afford the price of not doing this?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and Bill, I think sometimes we're so anxious when we're engaging with a prospective client, we're so anxious to get to the finish line that we don't spend the time talking about the value that we provide. And value is there's a lot to that goes beyond just our features and benefits. If I can use you again as an example, I mean, you help people present themselves in a very articulate, compelling way that ends up bringing a lot of dollars into their pocket, right? And so there's a value to that goes well beyond just the price that someone pays. So that being able to have a conversation around that and how that applies to what that particular client is looking for is extremely important. And sometimes we don't spend the time in the workup to that, if you will, and understanding what the client problems are that go well beyond, just that particular, those features and benefits, if you will, that we offer.
You bring to mind what I heard when I first, about 20 years ago, joined the National Speakers Association. I remember so well, there was a local friend who also was a member, and he had at that time, probably a 15-year working as a consultant and as a speaker. So I asked him to meet with me as a friend and look over my proposed website. It was the first one that I was doing. And he was kind, and yet he was candid and constructive, which is a good combination. That's what you want.
Sure.
He looked at my proposed website, and he said, "Well, Bill, all of these are good accomplishments, what you did in college, what your honors were, societies that you belong to, those type of things, but that's not what people are really looking for." I said, "Well, explain it to me." He said, "Well, those are features. And it's nice that you have those features. They might look good on a marquee someplace. But what people are looking for is not what are your credentials. They're looking for benefits. And you mentioned that word. The benefit, what will it benefit me if I work with you?" Now, yesterday, having been the PGA Championship golf tournament, I thought of a comparison here, John. You and I both know that some of the professional coaches, uh, such as Bob Rotella, and I'm thinking more of sports psychologists here, or even those who give swing lessons, Peter Costas or some others, they might charge a touring professional $1,500 an hour for a lesson. Now, how could that be? How could that be worthwhile? Okay, I checked the paper this morning. The winner of the PGA yesterday won 1.9 million. The runner-up had 1.2 million. It would have been okay if they'd invested $1,500 to get to that level of skill or professional thinking, the thinking of a winner. So what we're looking at is, and you and I have heard this, and I'm sure we've used it before, everybody's favorite radio station, and you're in radio, is WIFM. What's in it for me?
Right, right. Well, let's take that analogy a little further. So, the winner of a major golf tournament, yeah, they get a big paycheck, but what else do they get? I mean, for example, if you win the Masters, you get a green jacket. That's priceless. Okay, you are a lifetime member of Augusta National. You've got all the adoration and the fame. You've got endorsement deals that go way beyond those that paycheck that you receive for winning the golf tournament. So there's value that's both tangible and intangible that goes well beyond what that one particular payday that you got for winning the PGA Championship or the Masters or what have you. So that's what I mean by the value that clients receive from what we do. And unless we have a conversation with them about the things that are important to them in their lives, and not just in their business, but in their personal life, with their families, etc. Where do they want to go on vacation? Do they want to go to Rome, Italy, or do they want to go to Rome, Georgia? Right? So,
Quite a difference.
Understanding what motivates our clients helps us apply our services to them, and we can have a value conversation that where we're pointing out that what we're going to do for them provides tremendous value well beyond the price they pay.
And this, of course, I think, John, is why you and many advisors suggest to us that it's absolutely it's almost self-destructive for our career if we try to price ourselves on an hourly basis. That's not what we're about.
Right. Well, what we sell as professional advisors, as consultants, as accountants, as attorneys, what we sell is actually our gray matter. So, and gray matter, last time I looked, is not measured by time. So it's the value of the experience and the education, both initial and ongoing education that we go through to service our clients. It's the experiences we have with other clients that we can bring to bear on that client that we're working with today. So all of that is, if you can measure it, put all that into an hour if you want to, but you're really shortchanging yourself as a professional advisor.
And that's when, as you and many others say, we begin to sound like a commodity instead of a service.
Absolutely.
Now, let's go
Absolutely.
back to the very beginning of all of this conversation. And that is, why is it, John, that we have this fear of talking to people about prices and a fear of quoting a fairly high price? What causes that?
Uh, yeah, that's a great question, Bill. And really, what I think it gets down to for most of us, if not all of us, no matter how experienced we are, there's always this little voice in the back of our head that's questioning whether we're worthy, right? And questioning whether the service that we're providing is worth that value. And so we've got to battle ourselves in this a little bit. And I think there's some ways that we can do that, and we can talk about that if you like. But I mean, I think there's some specific, I guess, mechanics in having a conversation that we can that will help us. But part of it is just being comfortable with the fact that, hey, we provide a lot of value to our clients and we get that feedback from our clients. So therefore, part of it is just simply having the confidence to be able to say, hey, this is my price, and I'm worth that price. I'm a professional, and I will deliver results that are a multiple of what that price is, and be comfortable with that.
And the fact is, unless we think that, unless we believe that we provide great value that is worth strong remuneration, that's easy for me to say, strong compensation, unless we believe that, nobody else will. In fact, it's not likely that we quote a fee and somebody will say, oh, no, that's too low for you. That's not likely to happen. So we have to set our own value. Time for one closing question. And that is, could you give us at least one instance where someone has raised prices, raised their fee, and yet they still made more money? They didn't lose people.
Yeah. Well, I guess one quick thing I would say to that is sometimes we really need to take a look at our client base, and there's some clients that probably are better serviced by other people. Okay, so sometimes it's better to go look at your client base and say, some of these lower fee clients are just not a good fit for me. They're a good fit maybe for someone else, and I really need to invite these clients to get better service somewhere else because they came at a different time when I was charging lower fees, and maybe in the back of my mind I kind of resent working for them now, and that's not a good for them, and it's not good for me. So I think sometimes what we need to do is look at our clients and go through that process. I wouldn't say necessarily that we want to look at our clients and say we don't want to lose any. Actually, what I would also add to that is sometimes when we price on a value basis, that we can more than offset the clients that we lose, what few clients that we lose. If we're really providing that value, we can more than offset that with increased results, increased profits to our bottom line. I will tell you that the average business that increases their prices by just 1%, their bottom line goes up about 9%. Now that's the average business. Now for most professional service firms, that number's a lot higher. A 1% increase is a lot higher bottom line. So what I would encourage all your listeners to do today is go increase their price by 1%. Your clients won't notice it and won't care if you're doing a good job for them, and your bottom line will go up. So that's a good way to start. How about that?
Yes, indeed. I remember when I heard you give a presentation, you talked about Amazon Prime had been $77 and went to 99. They didn't lose. They just kept on getting more people into Amazon Prime because the value was high. John, this has been a tremendous opportunity for me and for our Biz Communication Show listeners. I'm sure there are those who would love to get in touch with you. So give us, please, your contact information.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks again for having me. I really appreciate your kind invitation. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my website is raybusinessadvisors.com. My telephone number is 404-287-2627. And I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. LinkedIn is John Ray, JOHNRAY 1 on LinkedIn.
I noticed a terrific article you posted on LinkedIn yesterday. Very valuable. 3 points there that everyone should look at. And since you've given your contact information, I'll give mine. Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guide. That's B-I-Z. So naturally, the website is bizcommunicationguy.com. John, any closing comments on this highly important topic?
Well, again, I would encourage all of us, and I include myself in that every time, is to always think of price. That price really is the most effective way to change the bottom line of your business. It's not my opinion, it's mathematically true. So if you focus on pricing and improving your pricing, you'll have a successful business.
Thank you for the value that you have brought us with these insights and recommendations, John.
Thank you, Bill, and thanks again for having me.
And thanks to all of you who have joined us on the Biz Communication Show. Be with us next week when I will bring another highly qualified guest to help us improve our biz communication. All righty, John, that is a wrap. And that was